You're listening to the Media Man Dan Podcast. Promoting people with passion all over the globe. Interviews every weekend. Album reactions every month. This is your host, Media Man Dan. Let's rock! What's up, guys, and welcome to the Media Man Dan Podcast. As you guys know, I get nothing but the best on this podcast, and that goes to my friend Joe Marks, here for the third time to entertain us, to give us all the love in the world, and a brand new single that all of you guys need to go and check out right now in the description right down below. Fake Monster, an absolute banger to start your year 2025. Welcome back to the show, Joe. It's been a little bit of time since the last time we chatted, all the way back in my birthday of October, but I'm so happy to have you back, and you get to be in the spotlight again.
Works for me. It's good to be back. Good to see you again, man. Sorry you're not feeling so well, but hopefully it gets better.
You could tell, yeah. Oh my gosh. Today is this is a good day though. This is a much better day because last week, I'll tell you this. After the flu, I had this hazy eye thing that would not leave me. It was there the whole time I was at work, driving too. But I mean, I was able to see. I just could not focus. Like, it felt like when you zone out and someone asks you, hey, what are you looking at? You aren't looking at anything, but it's there in front of you. That's how I was seeing people's eyes at my job. And I was like, how am I going to have a personal connection if I'm not focused on what I'm like doing? Like, this is crazy. But I was still, manually taking care of everything. So I'm happy to be better. How are you feeling this year?
I'm doing great. I'm definitely haven't caught any kind of sickness. My whole family did, but hasn't touched me yet.
Knock on wood.
Is the real wood around anymore? I think everything's kind of like processed nowadays.
Yeah, I don't think this is real either. I don't know what this is. Yeah, go knock on a guitar. But yeah, man, how's your year been going so far? This 2025 seems to be the time for my position to return back into the spotlight, which has been a reward, I should say, for my own listening experience. I always love listening to your music, and anytime I can add something new to the playlist. It's only 45 minutes long, Joe. You got to make more music.
I know. Yeah, there's going to be a lot coming out this year. I have a plan, at least 5 songs. So, Fake Monster was the first one. I'm trying to wrap up the music video. That's the only thing that's helping me to finish up the other ones. But once that music video is done, which I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks, I can launch that. I'm going to launch a whole campaign around it to try to just get more, followers and more views, all that stuff. So I'm looking into all that stuff, trying to do DIY. Yeah, DIY. DIY. Dyslexic abbreviations here. Just trying to, try a whole new different series of marketing. So I'll get that out and then punch out the next 4 songs shortly after, which I'll try to do some music videos for at least a few more of those. So I've been learning CGI this whole last year. I'll put it that. So
wait. Is there a music video coming for Fake Monster?
Yes.
Okay. When should we expect that?
I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks. I'll be announcing it as soon as I know. I'm in the final phases. Like I said, I've been learning CGI this whole year.
Yeah.
Since since summer basically of last year. I know that I'm getting close to actually doing the actual filming now. I've finished creating all of the world. I've created all the characters. I got 2 characters left to do. Actually, I should rephrase that. And then I can start actually setting up working on the animations and then the filming and so forth. So, and then it's the special effects and all that stuff. So
So cool.
a lot of work.
No, it's all worth it though. I mean, I'm excited to see some kind of visuals that will represent the lyrics because the thing that I have with especially new music, I'm so into the music part of it that I completely don't like understand anything that it's talking about. Like I'll be like, this song rocks, and I'll be like, oh wait, this is some sad shit. Oh my god, what am I doing? I'm so heartless to think of that. But like my friends in Against the Sun, they made it very clear. They're like, this is about self harm, and I was like, okay, I will not be like, yeah, woo,
Yeah, so far, let's do it.
yeah, and like so. Yeah,
No.
I'm excited to see if I can, by the 100th time, understand what the song is about.
Yeah. I
Yes,
specifically wrote the lyrics for Fake Monster around the idea of putting music video out for it because it's got a very specific story to it that I feel it's important to share. Just because I don't know, maybe it's just got my heart that the world's been slowly pushed and divided, especially in the political realm. But it's ventured into other areas, and it's become, I think, an easy thing for people to do to start pointing fingers at others and start like, oh, you're for this person, you're for this thing, so I hate you, and it shouldn't be that way. We all have an inner thing where it's like we are actually more on the more like than we think, and if we get away from the media and everyone else trying to manipulate us into thinking that we're opposite of each other and that we should hate each other, we'd actually go a lot further with it. So this song is written around that. The music video is based on that, and that's my story to tell the world, hopefully.
absolutely love that message, man. And I gotta tell you, man, this is a great thing. I'm actually sober for 5 months. I've been free from politics. I stopped. I cut it off completely. I unfollowed all my favorite shows that I was listening to, and as soon as I saw Ben Shapiro and his network cutting Brett Cooper, the only person I listen to is Brett Cooper now. Like I love hearing her take on things. I won't stay with the political stuff, but when she talks about pop culture, she has such a great way of talking about it with an open mind, at the same time having her own bias. But when her
Yeah,
fans listen to her, either whether because she's very pretty, even though she's married, guys, they're always like that. But like, she's
that's
pretty, she has this overall intellect that is just uncommon for her generation. And it's so nice because now she's uploading all of her content as video footage onto Spotify. So I don't even have to give money to YouTube to watch her content. I can continue on the platform I'm always on and continue my day after I hear her show. Or I send it to Allison and I'm like, hey, look at this. New updates on the Blake Lively situation. Like it's fun for me. I'm involved in media that I used to love, which is entertainment media instead of news media. I'm so tired of the news.
yeah,
But if I need
yeah.
to know what's going on with Trump, my dad knows everything all the time.
Well, Trump also thinks it enough, so you should be aware.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, as soon as I get out of this house, I don't think I'll know anything going on. And I think that's great. I think ignorance is bliss finally. I think we've had our period of time where we've feared the worst and we've already made it through. We're fine. Hopefully everyone is fine at this point and we don't have any other surprises. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, all that again. Because this is getting insane. The world is getting insane every day. I know there's a lot of people, like you said, with your song that are divided and they're choosing to no longer talk with people that they've known their whole lives because of their ideals and things like that. But I'm gonna do the thing against the grain, and I'm gonna bring both of them on at the same time. Literally next week, I got Jason Vilches, who's on the shirt. Shout out to Jason for his awesome merch. Go and get it on his website. And also, I have Havoc Faction, who is highly, I believe, libertarian or conservative. And so they're completely opposite. And we're all going to talk about movies. And we're going to have a great time. Yeah,
That's
man.
awesome.
I'm so happy. And, it feels good to be away from it because it's not stressing me out. And I'm not getting any more gray hairs in my sideburns.
It'll cause it for sure.
Yeah. But speaking of hair, your hairline is amazing and I would love to have it. I'm starting hymns soon. I don't know how it's going to work, but I would love to be like the next time we chat, I look like you and then you'll have like a hat on and I'll be like, haha, a little switcheroo.
Yeah, you put some kind of muju on me, and I'm receding, and
Yeah. That would suck.
I've
Yeah, the
got
switcheroo.
my dad's hair, and he's got a full thick head of hair still, but it's just white now. So I
Ah,
guess that's probably going to be my curse later. I've already started getting a lot of white strands, so we're
yeah.
getting there.
No, you can't see it at all though. And it looks
Yeah,
epic. And it looks healthy. That's the thing about it is it's not like greasy or anything. It's like that you would ride a horse without a shirt on. One of those
yeah. What's
romance
the
covers.
that deodorant commercial? Like that guy. I can't remember the
Yeah.
deodorant.
Old Spice.
Old Spice. There you go.
Yeah. So good, so good. All right, so speaking of rock and rollers, literally last night I met a guy who has been working in the biz for quite a long time. He gave me two guitar picks. You might have heard these artists before. This is a crazy coincidence that I'm talking about hair metal and stuff like that. You ever heard of Sammy Hagar?
Oh yeah.
So this is
Of
his
course.
official pick. Apparently, this dude has been working with, I think he said Van Halen forever. Like he's in his 70s, so he had like all the tours like booked with them and stuff like that. And now he's booking things around the area, and I'm just like, this is such a cool guy. He's a very loud talker, and that's how I knew he was a rock guy because most of them can't hear normally anymore.
Yeah.
They've been too close to the stage. And then
Stage dogs. Yeah.
yeah,
Break eardrums.
Michael Anthony, Sammy Hagar. The Circle is what this pick is for. So I have my pick collection behind me, and these two get added right now. What is one of your favorite classic hair metal bands?
Ooh, classic. How classic are we talking? We talking 80s, or are we talking?
We could do 70s. That's fine too. There's some great 70s bands.
It's tough. I grew up. So I was very sheltered when I was little, so I couldn't really get into the world music. My mom made sure we listened to nothing but Christian music when I was younger. But my older brother, who was a half brother, he would bring in music, and it would make her mad. But I would listen to it, and some of the stuff that he would bring in was like Whitesnake. And one of the things that he got me onto was an old band back in the day, Striper. I mean, they're still around now, but
Yes, Striper's so good.
yeah, those are the bands that I grew up listening to in the '80s. Striper and Whitesnake that were hair metal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Whitesnake's still around as well. They had an album 3 years ago. Have you heard it?
I don't think so. I'd have to check it out.
It's some of their best work. Like
Okay.
I was like, this is heavy, and not like today's heavy, but it's like heavy metal to the core. And when you have a great vocalist like yourself, you can hear something of potential that never goes away. It's always been that strong power voice. And same with
Yeah.
Striper. Oh my gosh, Striper's been going on forever. They're one of the first
Yeah.
Christian based bands, even though they have an album called Goddamn Evil. I don't know why. I don't know why they were like, yeah, that's the title. That won't piss off the Christian community at all.
I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, the Christian community is so divided amongst themselves. They
Yeah.
like to point fingers all the time. So, you can't win. You either do you're not doing enough or you're doing too much, and it's
Yeah.
just
It's just I've never seen blasphemy on the title of a Christian album.
yeah.
That's a new
I mean, that's
thing.
one of the reasons why even Under Oath, they started off like as a Christian band and they've completely gone away from it.
Yeah,
They
because
just
of all
got
that
tired.
pressure. Yeah. Well, it's Tooth and Nail. So, I mean, it was their label that probably were like, let's keep it with the Christian stuff, but you can be as heavy as you want. So, Tooth and
Yeah,
Nail, like, they created the best bands, in my opinion, some great hard rock. I mean, Cutlass, when they started, was a whole different band than how they are now. They're not that CCM stuff. And
yeah,
yeah, it was really cool. And as you could see, it's either they go completely soft or they stay heavy. And then people are like, wait a second, you still like Christ, but you make heavy music? I'm so lost. And nowadays, it's so common. Like, there's so many bands that are like hidden Christians. You're like, oh wait, this is a Christian band? Oh my God, this is great. And like I was just talking about Red before, like
yeah,
that's how people perceive them. It's like, oh, this is like Breaking Benjamin, and I'm like, yeah, but like uplifting lyrics. They're like, wait, uplifting? I'm like, yeah, like really hopeful, like, you know, dark but also hopeful stuff. I mean, you're really seeing how they are live. You'll understand that they have that connection with God when they're making their
Yeah,
stuff, which is a very powerful thing.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of the same for me too, because I grew up in church. I grew up a Christian, and I don't really go around and try to say my music's Christian music, but at the same time, I think I take the moral values and the hopeful values and trying to encourage someone through a hard time. Because my writing is all about human condition, really. So we're gonna understand that what you're feeling is real, and we're gonna understand that you don't have to sit there and feel that. You can take step forward and find ways through. And or if you see someone going through it, then you reach out and you help them. Don't let them sit there alone. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff I write about. So
And speaking of writing, let's talk about the new song. Let's talk about Fake Monster. Let's go into a deep dive here. What was the inspiration that you said it was divided humanity, but like what was something where you were like, I need to put this into lyrics?
so yeah, I mean it's quite it was quite obvious to me what to do at the time. I will just backstory it a little bit. The whole song started. Shaylee actually wrote the initial riff, the galloping riff on the guitar,
Yeah.
and he had created the sound with the synthesizer in the background, and it just kind of sat for forever. And after we put out my first EP, I guess he came across it again, and he was like, what's funny is that sound effect that I'm using is the same sound effect for the synthesizer that I used on Diluted when we did Diluted in the at his studio. And I was like, really? So he played it for me. I was like, oh my God, it is the same exact synthesizer. He was like, this is really right up your alley. I don't have anything to do with it. So do you want to take it and just run with it? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, why not? It's a very cool riff. I already like the sound as it is. And so, we worked together on, he kind of helped me put together the rest of the structures. And I just said, this sounds good. That sounds, sounds better this way. And we went from there with the music together. And then I was like, okay, the hard part of writing music for me, lyrics. What do I want to write about with this dang thing? And right at the moment, I would say when I first started writing the lyrics for it was almost a year ago, and everything was spooling for this election. So you had all these different ads and campaign ads, and of course, social media was just rampant on who you should vote for. At the time it was Biden. It wasn't even Kamala yet,
Yep.
or Kamala, however you say her name, and.
She don't matter anymore.
Well, let's see. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe she might spool around for 28. There's a following that wants her to. So
That is true. That is true. She could fake it again.
yeah, I, I'd be remiss. I mean, I would hope that the Democratic side would have a lot better candidates than they've had lately.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with the party currently is that they're taking terrible picks, and they're thinking
yeah,
like we're gonna put this above all the other people, and it's like Trump had the power from the beginning. That's why I knew that when he was in for the primary, I was like, okay, well, that's it. That's he's winning. I mean, he can't
that's it.
really
Yeah.
beat his power. He's got an insane amount of ego.
Yeah. So I mean, in that time frame, again, it was Biden at the time versus Trump, and there's the whole thing back and forth. You have a huge Trump following, you have a huge anti-Trump following,
Mm,
and that's really what it split down to. And it's just a lot of hate spread through that. People pointing fingers, saying each other has misinformation,
yeah.
and they created the cults out of these things. And I just was at the time was like, the world is actually bleeding because of this. I wouldn't say. Well, I mean, it could
America.
spread to the, but
America,
definitely
yeah.
America. Yeah, and I remember a time when we had differences and we had differing political opinions, but we weren't at each other's throats like we are the last 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just what inspired me to write the lyrics that I did. I was like, if you actually sit there and I don't know if maybe I'm a centrist. I think there's a way of being able to. I can understand the heart behind different views that you have.
Yeah.
I think we actually have open dialogue and we can talk it through. And let's talk about truths. Let's not worry about what each other feels on the things. The truth is what really comes down to.
Yeah.
And so if you actually sit down and talk truths, you might still have differing opinions. That's fine. Whatever works. We just try to figure it out together and not be at each other's throats. And that's what I wanted the lyrics about this to really push out.
Love it. Yeah, fake propaganda and things like that are monsters in our daily lives. You know, we talk about Shinedown specifically. Their song "Monsters" is like a really good representation of like these monsters are real. They know how to kill. It's like it's just it's all about your inner dialogue as well as the world that you're surrounded by, constantly pushing things in front of you to create this negative energy, something that you don't even know, some people that you don't even know. And that's I love
Yeah.
I love political commentary that like they go on the street and they ask people simple things and they have no idea what they're talking about. So they'll be like, what do you think of, you know, they'll pick like a Star Wars character. They'll be like, do you think he's going to make it in the next election? They'll be like, oh yeah, he's great. I can't believe it. Like, what a great guy. And it's like they're talking out
Yeah.
of their ass. And this is how people are. They hear it so many times so that, you know, if you repeat it, eventually it becomes truth. But that's an issue. In this day and age, you should be able to question everything. And that's what made me a centrist, is because I said, well, if I'm not allowed to criticize both, what is the point in being part of either? Like, this is
Yeah.
stupid. Like, I would never stand with somebody that's like, oh no, we just follow this guy blindly. You know, he's gonna make mistakes, but we're just gonna follow him blindly. I'm like, listen, unless he's Jesus, that ain't happening.
Well, even then, Jesus wasn't followed blindly either.
Yeah, no, I mean, blind faith. I mean, it was a common misconception of exactly how things went. You know, they were still struggling, and I think The Chosen is a really good representation of what those inner struggles could have been, like leaving your family behind, leaving your wife behind, leaving your kids behind. Like, all of your world has changed in order to follow, you know, God, and you know,
Yeah.
it's great representation. But in this modern age, it's a completely different world, and we
Yeah.
are constantly struggling to either find God or find our like our hope these days. And that fake monster that we're fighting all the time is just beating us over the head, telling us how to think, how to emotionally react instead of, like you said, factually respond. A
Yep.
factual, evident thing that you can say when it comes to immigration is that we had a wide open border for 4 years. We were opening the gates and flooding our communities with people that were less than helpful for our society. Now,
Yeah.
does that mean that every person that ever immigrated here is bad for society? Of course not. We can go with that
No.
argument. But I will say that the way that they were doing it with let's open up the gates and see what happens is a terrible tactic. And so the
Yeah.
Republicans responding and then pushing those people into the territories that voted for that, I was like, how could I be against that? That makes complete sense to me. Put it on their front steps. Like, hey, this is your problem. This is what you created. You deal with it. And so when they got offended and then they made it all emotional, like, oh my God, these people are not just supposed to be moved around. These are real human beings. It's like, yeah, they're real human beings until the next election, where you just don't care about these people anymore because maybe they voted for Trump and you didn't. And so now you don't like these people either. Even though
Yeah.
you were all for them coming across the border, you're not on their side anymore. So it's like, this is all propaganda, man. That's all I'm seeing. And like I said, I've been out of politics for 5 months. I hope nothing happened that's been really big and important. I know some horrible things that happened overseas that were never covered in American news. I don't know if you heard about Sweden had its biggest mass shooting of all time. It was
Yeah.
crazy, and I can't imagine anyone going through that, especially in a territory known as Sweden. Like, that's not a common thing at all for them to have gun issues. So a whole new world is going on, and I think we need to focus on things that matter most instead of these little distractions.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm glad you used you were talking about monsters, and then you even used the term fake monster as we're talking about this, and that really just fits the category well because we're developing these. I'm calling them monsters because we're turning these evil, vile things that are pointing fingers and just mad at each other. When you actually break it down and say, listen, these feelings that we have against each other, this is designed, this is manipulation. Let's look at the real picture here and realize that we shouldn't be at against each other. We should be at who's designing this stuff for us to be fighting each other because they're purposely putting us against each other. So we're not paying attention to what they're really doing. And that's holding us down. So if we actually break that, monsters go away and we work together and actually building up what we really want and not letting these people control us.
Yes. And that's actually one of the best bits from Carlin. He actually talked about the divide between people. Always politicians doing this.
All you ever hear about in this country is our differences. It's all they ever talk about. Politicians and the media always pushing the things that separate us, things that make us different. That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that they, the rich, can run off with all the fucking money. Fairly simple thing. Fairly simple thing. Happens to work. Anything that's different about us, you know that's what they're pushing at you. Racial differences, religious, ethnic, national backgrounds, jobs, income, education, social status, sexuality, anything they can do to keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank. You know how I describe the economic and social classes in this country? The upper class keeps all of the money, pays none of the taxes. The middle class pays all of the taxes, does all the work. The poor are there just to scare the shit out of the middle class. Keep them showing up at those jobs. And I'm not a really good American because I like to form my own opinions. I don't just roll over when I'm told to. Sad to say, most Americans just roll over on command. Not me. Not me. I have certain rules I live by. My first rule, I don't believe anything the government tells me. Nothing. Zero. And I don't take very seriously the media or the press in this country, who in the case of the Persian Gulf War were nothing more than unpaid employees of the Department of Defense, and who most of the time function as kind of an unofficial public relations agency for the United States government. So don't listen to them. I don't really believe in my country. And I gotta tell you folks, I don't get all choked up about yellow ribbons and American flags. I consider them to be symbols, and I leave symbols to the symbol-minded.
Look at the amount of money that goes in. These people are supposed to make, 120, 100, no, I'm sorry, well, close to 200,000, yet they're worth millions. It's like, where are you getting that money from? Come on now.
Yeah, they get to be in the big club that we're not in. And that's another George Carlin bit.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
We've always been looking at these people like they are normal human beings. These guys mow their lawn. No, they don't. They don't mow their lawn. They don't do their groceries. They have all of these things given to them, especially those that are in the highest of classes, which our class system is completely corrupt these days. That's the thing that we should really expose. And it's not about kill the rich. That's the worst idea. But it's you need to understand that this class system is ruining the main majority of America. We're the ones that take care of all of the stuff. More back to Carlin again. He's like, they do. We do all the work. We make sure that all of our taxes are paid. The lower class is there to scare the shit out of us. That's why they're there. And the upper class is to take care of minimal taxes and live their luxurious lives. And it's like, obviously somebody's losing, and there's no way for the middle class to become the upper class. This will never happen. The system is completely rigged, and so we need to expose more and more of people that are less helpful for society. We need to get rid of those Haktua girls, and we need to put people like Brett Cooper in positions of power that can actually persuade people, but also question their own side on things. That's a very important aspect that we're missing these days. There's a lot of blind following, and it's sad. But like I said, I'm out of it for 5 months, so I only know what I remember before that.
Ignorance is bliss in that sense.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with all that mess because you're shading yourself away from the manipulation.
Yeah.
It's tough to have. It's good to have knowledge of what's going on in the world, but at the same time, you got to figure out the best way of getting that without being manipulated, without being emotionally charged to a particular, agenda.
100%. That's why this is sponsored by Ground News. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I actually would want to check them out. I keep hearing about them from, I think it was Brandon Tatum.
Yeah.
Who I like listening to and watching.
Officer Tatum. Yeah, he had a hot take the other day. People were not happy with. I think he was talking about Kendrick and hood culture.
So that's the thing, right? So as cool as he is on some other things, he might have some views that you don't like, and that's just he's human.
How dare he? How dare he actually have his own opinions that somebody must disagree with? That's just terrible. But I mean, I've never really watched his show. I can't really sit down and be like, I know what he's talking about. But I did see that clip and I was like, reaching a little bit. I was part of hip hop culture and when I wanted to be a rapper, and I would like follow people that I liked, obviously Eminem. And there's some things where it's like, the what they're wearing is the least of importance. Like we learned long ago that there is no actual like care or subtlety when it comes to hip hop artists. This is not their thing. Rap battles are not made to be a respectful conversation. So
I think it's probably more or less there could be a pride inside of him where he's made who he is out of not joining what you would expect. So I think he's probably proud of that, and maybe he just exhibits it a little bit too much in that sense. But overall, he's a good dude, and he wants the best for people. And so, I think he's so cool. And there's a lot of people I listen to, and at the same time, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't say that. But they're a good individual. They have a good heart. They don't always make the right choices, but
they're honest.
We're fallible.
Yeah, honesty is extremely important. One of my favorite like celebrities, and I hate celebrities, but the only one I've seen that truly like gives a shit about his community, also has the same take as Officer Tatum about leaving hood culture behind. Denzel Washington, like this dude goes out of his way to talk to college students at these ceremonies and just say like, you have a choice.
I'm going to keep it short. Number one, put God first. Put God first in everything you do. Everything that you think you see in me, everything that I've accomplished, everything that you think I have, and I have a few things, everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that. It's a gift. I've been protected. I've been directed. I've been corrected. I've kept God in my life and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. So stick with him in everything you do. If you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done and stick with God. Number two, fail big. That's right. Fail big. Today's the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a new world out there. It's a mean world out there, and you only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams. And they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Remember that. Just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. So continue to strive, continue to have goals, continue to progress. Number 3, you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I don't care how much money you make, you can't take it with you. The Egyptians tried it. They got robbed. That's all they got. You can't take it with you. And it's not how much you have. It's what you do with what you have.
Man ain't spelled G-U-N, son. You got a choice. You got talent. You got a chance, and I want to hear about your environment, what your mama didn't give you, and the white man won't give you no shot. You got a chance. Use it while you're still alive. You don't know what death is. You have no idea what death is. Make a decision.
Ghetto friends look down on people that make it. They're like, oh, you want to leave us? You want to leave us behind like that? You're going to go with the whitey? Like, it's always been this hatred of success, and it makes no sense. Why would you want anyone to be unsuccessful? Like, why would you want to be like, oh, good to see you, you know, still scraping, barely making it through the day? Like, why would that be a good thing? In my opinion, I'm, you know, privileged in this case. I live in the suburbs. It's not been my whole life. But if I were in that position, wouldn't I want to get out of that? Wouldn't I want to raise a family in a place where I know that it's not like that? But it's just this like overall pride, like you're talking about, like this pride to stay in the same way. And it's pretty conservative, if you ask me, to stick to the same shit that you've been your whole life, but yet they all vote Democrat. It's amazing how this thing works.
But they're the ones creating those systems. And, it's just crazy. Yeah, it definitely stems from pride and jealousy. You want, you know, a lot of people are like, I mean, there's some good people out there that'll be like, you know, I want to see someone do well for themselves, but I don't want them to see them do better than me, you know?
Oh, I hate that. Oh my gosh, this competition mindset. It's like, you know, even salespeople like Andy Frisella, who I was a big fan of, and the reason I stopped listening to him is because he said, if you don't vote, don't listen to this show. And I was like, I guess I'm not listening to the show. I'm sorry. I can't look at two candidates that are bad and be like, pick between those.
Just alienate people like that and cut them off.
Yeah.
You know, they may not agree with you at the moment, but if you actually have something good to say that they can tie into, why would you shut them off from being able to catch that later on? That's just dumb.
Yeah.
And how do you build a community of people who may have different disagreeing ideas? When you do that, you know, I'd rather have those disagreeing ideas around me and we can talk about it, not just shut them down.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
I find it fascinating to have people that can question. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Sorry, I was cutting you off. I was saying that I find it fascinating to have people that can question what I've believed my whole life. You know, that's like a huge thing for like Mormonism. Like it was a common thing. Like you can't question this faith, and so people that did it, you know, sometimes they would persuade those people to be like, you know, question what you came from. What have you been told your whole life? Is it a lie? Is it true? And if it's true to you, you know, continue doing it. That's fine. Yeah. But here's what could be. Like, why live in the shadows? Why in the in the allegory of the cave, Plato? Like, why would you want to be in darkness your whole life when you know there's a light out there? Why would you want to remain in the cave and completely blind to what reality is? If you have a chance, you know, try to wake people up to things. I'm not woke, but like you got to wake people up to things that could be out of their normal lives. Like I love anyone that questions me. And that's why I let those people have their own beliefs. And I'll get a little emotionally charged. You know me. You know that I have my strong opinions. I don't know if you saw, but I did a good rant on my grieving period, and I was just calling everybody out. I was like, all right, let's go in. Kamala, fuck you. Trump, fuck you. The celebrities, all this shit. We have to care about Gal Gadot all of a sudden. Like, we didn't remember her singing Imagine. And what's really funny is that I covered all of that. And then I was like going to make this big rant about it. And then Brett Cooper literally covered all of that. And she brought up the Imagine thing. And she brought up celebrities. I was like, this is why I listen to her. Because she's got the same mindset. And she's doing something with it, and she's gonna get way more exposure. And also, I don't really want to be angry. I feel like it's not worth it these days. I've had my time. I can't do it anymore. You have to chill out eventually, right? When you're in your 30s, you got to be like, that time is over. But anyway, man, this is an amazing conversation so far. I'm glad that we're doing some deep dives into fun stuff and serious stuff as well. Let's talk about something that I really enjoy, and that is superheroes. And you really enjoy them as well, I should say. We really enjoy. Superman has a new movie that's coming out this year, and I need to know your thoughts on that.
I hate it. Just kidding. No.
Symbol of hope.
I
hate it.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. They shouldn't even play it. I've been an absolute Superman fan since I was a kid. I'm trying to remember how young I was. My dad first brought us our VHS tape home from the rental store. The little wasn't Blockbuster Video. It was like some kind of, I don't know. I can't remember the name. It wasn't Blockbuster. They weren't around a big thing yet. So he brought our VHS tape home, and it was Superman. Started watching it, and I've had this thing about wanting to fly, which is why I became a skydiver. I think we had that whole chat before.
Yes.
But I saw him, flying. I was like, that's just the coolest thing in the world. And he stood up for good things. He protected people. He helped people. He had that Boy Scout kind of like charm where, he was just a simple person, and he just wanted to do what he could with all his power he had. He had the absolute power to just destroy this planet if he wanted to. But he helped bring a kitty down for a little girl who was trying to get her cat. It's just like, that to me is just wholesome and cool. So any iteration of Superman that I've seen come out, I've always just been like, well, let's just check it out and see. It's not Christopher Reeve. Okay, I get that. Let's just see what it's like. So we had like, what was it? Dean Cain come out with the whole Superman series with Lois and Clark. Then there was a Superboy series that came out. I watched all of them. Smallville came out, watched that. Superman Returns came out, watched that. And, you're going to have those people that hate this, hate that about it. They're trying to be, either purist or who knows. And it's just like, let the story just be told, dude. It's got an uplifting feel to it. Who cares?
Yes.
So, I was a big fan of Henry Cavill when the whole Man of Steel stuff came out, the Snyderverse. I enjoyed it. I would say it was a little darker than what I'm, used to seeing Superman be. But at the same time, he still stood up for good. So now there's that whole comparison now, Snyderverse versus James Gunn now, where I feel like this is more colorful and brighter.
Yeah.
James Gunn did good things with, I'm trying to remember the name of that movie now. Slipped in my head. Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, he did. I mean, that movie was so funny and so good. Had a lot of great moments to it. I just feel like James Gunn knows what he's doing. I agree with the things that James Gunn stands for, but whatever. He makes good movies. So I'm down to see what he does.
I think as much as he is a great director for like hope and like overall like this understanding of what is a hero, he also understands a villain, and he understands the toxic and evil behavior of human beings. And I think that he'll take that and really run with it for the Lex Luthor character, played by the guy from Warm Bodies. I did not expect that to be the casting choice. And he's going to be great too. I mean, I like a lot of what's going on with what James Gunn is creating. However, we only have one movie so far, and we have to see how that does. And it's exactly like with Zack Snyder, where it's like, well, we're restarting from the beginning. Man of Steel, was a great movie, but then Batman v Superman was not a great movie. So it's like you gotta go with each film and see what we're gonna get from it. Overall, like you said, the color, the vibrance, the energy. I like that it was blood. It just shows a little bit darker, tense kind of situation that he's been through. Because if Superman bleeds, obviously either
Hard.
yeah, kryptonite is involved, or
Yeah.
somebody is really strong like Doom. Like you're just gonna have something that can take down Superman in his first movie, which is really big. I mean, that is a huge
Yeah.
part. But one of my favorite things about Superman, and you know, most people feel this about any hero, if you're Christian specifically. Sorry for the atheists here, but it's about God becoming man, coming to Earth, learning from humanity to be a good person, at the same time having these all superpowers. Like you said, he could literally take the whole world on without any issue, but he wants to save the smallest of matters, like, you know, a school bus that is going to go into a tornado, specifically for Smallville.
Yeah.
You know, a cat in a tree for the original Superman. Like, you know, these really important things to humanity is what he cares about, because he was raised by humanity, and so his perspective changed. It's the Hercules argument. It's the Jesus argument. It's all of that. That's why when Zack Snyder was so focused on that for Man of Steel, I was like, I see the parallel. This makes sense. That's why there's so much Christian imagery. Now,
Yeah.
both Zack Snyder and James Gunn have made movies that are far from Christian. Their ideals and their morality is tested a lot, and they definitely do have some twisted like mindsets. I don't know. Suicide Squad has one of the moments where I can't watch it. I can't watch somebody that I've known since the first Suicide Squad be killed by a character that I thought was a good person. And he just literally kills anything, and he's prideful about killing children and families because he just kills and kills. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't like the Belko experiment. I don't like any of that twisted nature. But I understand and I respect artists that are able to, you know, put these things into their own creative way. It's just like, I personally don't want to see any of that in my superhero movies. I don't want to see that. And they were villains,
Right.
so I guess, you know, anti-heroes, that's fine, but it's still like, I can't not see John Cena killing somebody. Like, that just makes me feel awful. I'm like, he's not that kind of person. As far as I know, from John Burke, he talked about like how John Cena is behind the scenes and he's a completely like reasonable dude. And he also is balding. He's got a little bald spot in the back. I didn't notice until I saw him in WWE the other day, and I was like, oh shit, now I feel better about how my hairline is. That's why it's sponsored by Hims. No, I'm just kidding. I do have Hims down here. I'm not going to do it though. But yeah, man. So Superman is one of the best characters ever made. He's truly the symbol of hope. That's what the S stands for. Spoiler alert for everybody that has never seen anything Superman involved. Smallville. Tom Welling, his portrayal of Clark, I think, is amazing. And I really wish we could have seen him as Superman. You know, he technically is, but he's not like in the suit. He's not doing Superman stuff till the last episode.
That was one of the things with taking on the role. He didn't want to be in a suit, and so they made it happen without it. They've hinted at it a few times near the end, and I thought it'd been cool. But I think because of the fact they've tried to stay away from it so long, when they rushed the ending, it didn't come out so well. Like the CGI was just not done well.
Yeah, true.
Pretty bad.
Yeah,
But
that
other
final
than that,
shot.
show. The only thing I can say negative about, like, so I'm watching it again. I'm watching the whole series again because I'm introducing my kids to it. We've been on a Superman kick this year, leading up to the movie coming out. So we've been watching all kinds of Superman related stuff. So we've been watching through it, and I'm like, this Clark Kent is more emo than I have ever seen. He's so just like very emotional, very. I mean, maybe it's supposed to play to that idea, but it's just like overall, he's whiny, you know. Like, watching it again is just weird, but
you could see, it was the template for Arrowverse to become a drama, for Flash to become a drama, for Legends of Tomorrow to become a drama. It's like, here's a really cool guy, but he's sad. Here's a really cool character, but they just can't get over their relationship problems. It's like, okay, Spider-Man does the same thing, but he's still a cool character. It doesn't like revolve around that. Obviously, in the trilogy, it does revolve around Mary Jane, because that's what affects him. That's always a Peter Parker thing.
Yeah.
So I'll give that, parallel between DC and Marvel. But Spider-Man overall is like one of the coolest characters. The Flash, one of the coolest characters. Why did they do it so poorly? That's always my question when it comes to later seasons. Like, your first 2 seasons were great, and that happened with Arrow, that happened with Smallville. First 2 seasons are great, and then it's like you just are like, well, what if we throw everything in? It's like, don't throw everything. Focus on one specific villain every season. That's like a really cool idea. And, it would have been really cool if it was so successful that we got a live-action Justice League TV show or movie that was actually really good besides the Snyder Cut. Like, I would love to have seen all those characters.
That's what they did with Power Rangers, Power Rangers was nothing but a TV show, but it became a pretty cool movie. I mean, there's some campiness to it, of course, but, it was iconic at the time, for sure. And they could have easily done that. But I don't know, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
TV decided to do their own thing, which keeps shooting themselves in the foot. I don't understand.
It's also because Japanese TV knows what they're doing a little bit more than us. Like, that's why we took notes from how they were running their program and said, what would the American version do? And it's like, what if they had a food fight? It's like, what does that have to do with the story? What are you doing? And Japanese have their funny, corny moments as well, but like, it's just cultural misunderstanding. Like, one of their things that they do, that the American version, thank God, did not do, is dance into their morphing sequence. Like, that's a Japanese Super Sentai kind of thing. They had to do that because, I don't know, that's how they wanted to have it. But the American version, they're like doing just like the last part of it. You can only see like the cool part of the morph.
It's morphin' time! Dino Charger, ready! T-Rex Charger, engage! Energize! Unleash the power! Whoa! Now I feel Dino Charge!
I used to love, I don't remember the name of it anymore, but it was this wacky show where it was like impossible to do these tests, these, it was like races / going through a gauntlet kind of thing, but it was just wacky. You're getting slime thrown at you, you're getting slapped by big hands or whatever, and it's just, all these sound effects, it's like, it's just fun. Or you have like that weird Tetris game that they're all playing where people have to get the shape of the wall that's coming at them, It never fit. It always just knocks them over anyway.
Speaking of that, Tetris, and having to take shape of a wall, what do you think of the VR stuff these days?
In what aspect?
There is a big channel, I guess you could say, from Australia. There's a lot of Australian girls that are like, do you know if you wear a skirt and you play this game that everyone else has, you will get millions of views? And they're like, yeah, I'm going to do that for the rest of my life. And so they find these like cutouts that they have to dance. They're like putting in formations, and they're following it with their VR headset in this like, I don't know, blue screen, green screen thing. And I'm amazed on the technology that we have, but at the same time, I'm like, wait a second. This is horrible. Like, this is taking away from actual reality. This is becoming Ready Player One kind of like area, and I don't want that for humanity. We've had enough game time, and I love gaming, but like you gotta go back to reality a lot. Gotta get a real job. Gotta do things that actually matter. Then you can go back to your games. But it's like you can't just do that for life. And the way that they're doing it with this cutout, it's just like memorizing every formation. It's like DDR basically, but in the modern age.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen that, so I'd be curious to see what it is to catch what you're referring to, because right now I don't know anything about that. But as far as the VR that I know, I mean, I've got the Quest 3 headset and stuff, and I play every now and then.
Yeah,
I do it with my kids actually. I got them for Christmas. I got them Quest 3 headsets as well, and we do like putt golf games and stuff together.
Cool.
And actually Shaylee got it too. So we've actually done games with Shaylee on there, and it's just cool because I'm standing in my office, my studio/office right here, and when I put that thing on, Shaylee is literally standing right next to me. We can give each other high fives and we bowl and stuff. And it's just, you got to have a balance. You can't let it overtake your life. You know, there's a way of taking something that can be used for good and really making it just crap.
Yeah.
But you got to know how to balance it out. So it's cool in some aspects.
Yeah.
I prefer AR. I prefer, I think it'd be really cool if we get to the day, like, you ever seen like Star Trek and they go to these holodecks and the entire world, the entire room turns into a world, and they're physically manipulating things in the world and not having to put any gadgets on. It's around them. I want to see that. That would be really cool.
Oh, Star Trek is ahead of its time in every way. I mean, like, they were the biggest thing besides Star Wars that took sci-fi to a whole new level. And I'm so happy that they're still somehow relevant. I mean, they've had so many different types of shows. I mean, you can go from like the most recent one that people had issues with and then liked by the end of it. Picard apparently switched people's like mind around. Like, how could we fix this show? And by the end of it, they're like, damn, that was good. But like the new Star Trek, they have like modern progressive terms and things like that. And then you got like the Next Generation with Picard. But then you can go through the classics as well. And it's like just seeing the evolution of the technology, how they were able to make it look, the futuristic 70s versus the futuristic 80s, like huge differences, futuristic 90s, futuristic thousands. Just so cool. And like you said, yeah, the rooms becoming something you can physically manipulate, even though it's not being changed in real time. It's all simulation. Very interesting stuff. But yeah, I was thinking Beat Saber, by the way. That was
Beat Saber, okay.
So they play Beat Saber solitarily, as far as I know. I don't think that they are usually bringing a friend on, and that's my biggest thing. It's like, how do you not feel lonely? How do you feel? I mean, I guess it's because you're getting paid millions of dollars because, you know, like I said, you wear a nice little skirt and you do a little dance. Pretty easy job. But it's like, at the same time, what are you contributing? Like, what is your life? What are you going to show your kids? That's my question. Is like, you can show them that? You'd be like, oh, mommy takes care of all the bills because she puts on a VR headset and slaps things that aren't there. What? That's fucking crazy. So it always bothers me as somebody who's, you know, in capitalist society. I just like, what are you contributing? What are you actually doing? I don't understand. I mean, you're promoting the obvious VR, you know, work and, you know, all of the systems and the tech and the new stuff that's coming out. There's constantly new releases. They get all of that. They get their little mats and their do you have the treadmill thing that you walk on just so you don't have to walk into the wall?
You set up a barrier, and then you can move around inside the barrier so you don't hit the couch or, you know.
Good. Yeah.
You always AFV clips where people run into the TV and bust it up. I don't know how they do that still. I have never had an inclination to go just diving into something knowing that I don't really know what's around me. But, you know, I don't know. People are wired differently then, I guess.
Yeah. The only thing I've ever done was the roller coaster simulation. I put on the headset. I was sitting in the chair that's literally holding my laptop currently. And it was like the weirdest thing because it felt like that old school ride that you would see at like an arcade. And it was just like you get the little curtain down and pick the roller coaster setting. And then it's like, okay, you're going over like mines and stuff like that. It's like, how they do it where you just sit and it's there in front of your eyes and your eyes are manipulated to believe that it's real, that freaks me out. Personally, I mean, I have vertigo, I have fear of heights. Like, I couldn't imagine seeing something that's not there and not feeling that. So it's like, why would I want to be discomforted from a game specifically? I understand games that are on TV are completely different. Like, I can play a game where I'm looking down from the top of a skyscraper as Spider-Man and not feel scared. But if you put me in a VR headset and I am Spider-Man and I'm looking down, I won't make it through the day. Like I'll be like, I can't. That's so scary. Because I
Actually,
just
on that notion, there is a Spider-Man VR game that you can play. It really feels it's crazy.
you're
You feel
swinging
like,
around the city.
yeah, absolutely. It's really really cool. Another one actually that's done very well is Iron Man. That one's
Oh,
really
that would be
you actually
epic.
feel like you're putting on that suit and flying through the sky and shooting your little
Yeah.
hand blasters. It's really sick.
That is very cool stuff. Speaking of Marvel now, and I'm glad that I brought it up because I was thinking about it. Fantastic Four is coming out this year. Looks like
Yeah.
Disney's final hope for success. I mean, I don't think they have much else left. I think they've screwed up almost everything that they've done. They've taken, the female version of every character that you love, and they're like, okay, well, why don't you like it? Because it's not the character. I want Thor, and you're giving me Natalie Portman and I guess Mighty Thor with cancer jokes. I don't like that. I want Black Panther, obviously R.I.P. to the original actor, but
Yeah, it sucks, man.
there's,
He was a good
there's
actor.
no choice that you could do besides his sister, I guess. And then you have Captain Marvel,
Yeah,
who
we got Jordan. I mean, they could have done something off of Jordan. What's his name? Michael B. Jordan, I think it is.
oh yeah,
Could
Killmonger.
have done something with him.
Yeah, Killmonger. I mean, he's still in the mindset of Siri, but it's like I feel nothing. I watch these movies besides the emotional impact. I feel nothing, and it's like you gave me such a great story. You told me the greatest fantasy could be reality. You put together a insane cast, and you made it happen. And now all you've done is take that and destroy it piece by piece, putting new progressive mindset into everything. And now here we are with Captain America, the new movie, where he's not the one from the comics, which was Bucky. Bucky's going to be in that new Thunderbolts, which will totally not work. I don't have any hope for their Suicide Squad in Marvel. It's not a good idea. And then they're going to go straight into the reboot, which is Fantastic Four, and everything that's going to come from that is all determined on how that does. I feel like Disney as a whole is completely lost with their superhero stuff. But the trailer looked pretty promising. What was your overall opinion on it?
I'm definitely interested in checking it out. I'm not, even in the earlier Fantastic Four, I've never been a big follower of them. Even when it came to Guardians of the Galaxy, I never knew who they were until the movie came out. I checked it out. I thought, this is really cool. I mean, Rocky's funny as a little raccoon. He's always, snarky.
Yeah.
You have Groot that just makes no sense whatever. Just he's like a big child, but I am Groot. That's all you can say. It's just, and so I think, give him a chance to see how it comes out. I don't know. Lately, I've been, as far as Marvel stuff goes, once they started like changing people over and then it started coming out a little too push of progressivism and wokeness, I just kind of fell off because it's just not what it's not what I really follow. So
Yeah.
I don't really care what Marvel does right now. I'll check it out and I'll see if it's good enough, but I haven't really followed them closely anymore. It's something I came across and that kind of clicked for me because, looking at the way they're changing characters, like you're mentioning, they're doing female versions, like there's the She-Hulk and stuff now. You look at it historically, and the reason that superheroes do so well, and especially among the men, the boys and the men that like watching them and being a part of them, is that there's something inside of men that inspires to be a protector, inspires to be just stronger than what they are. And so that's always catered to them. That's always been a thing that's caused them that it's just like, wow, I want to be that. I want to be that strong. I want to have those powers. Girls don't really usually care about that stuff. That's why it's never popular among girls. Now, let's say that's a general statement. There are some girls that love it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's never been like their biggest market. So they've done alienating men. They basically said you're not allowed to be strong and masculine.
Yeah.
And they've taken away what's actually the core of a male psyche. They've taken that away, and that's where you're seeing today. No one wants to be a part of it. You've just destroyed it. So.
And Power Rangers, I can go back to when it comes to the females. So one of the best Power Ranger series in the whole like franchise is Time Force. Time Force is a progressive series. The first episode, they kill the Red Ranger. That's a pretty freaking ballsy thing to do for a Power Rangers show. I mean, they find pretty good replacement, and he's the same actor and everything like that. But the way that they do it, they make the Pink Ranger the leader of the team. And as far as I know, toy sales wise, that was the only season where Pink was actually coming off the shelves. All of the other Rangers were like second to Pink because she was such an important character. So if you wanted to do a female lead, you can do it, but it's rare. Yeah. The ones that you'll see if you were to go back 10, 15 years ago in stores that are still on the shelves, yellow and pink. That's always how it's been. It's always the girl Rangers that nobody wanted. And some people, like me, I was a big collector. I got the whole team. So I needed that. But I'm not playing with those characters the most because I'm not relating to them. And as you were saying, the market was for the men. In superhero time, women looked down on people that like comic books. They said, oh, that's for children. That's childish. And now you made childhoods come to life. And now you're shitting on that mentality that this was made for the guys that wanted to be kids again. Like, why? Like, I understand girls that absolutely kick ass with all their cosplay and really care about source material. They're into anime. They're into, all that stuff. It's a complete impossibility for those simps out there. They're like, that can't be. That's not real. They're pandering. That's how their mindset is. Because it's never been a normal majority thing. Our majority has always been either you are a superhero fan, or you're a G.I. Joe fan, or you're a Transformer. Like, you're just, like, that's always how you've been. And so I grew up with Zorro, out of all superheroes. Mexican folk legend. And then I got Batman, which is what Zorro inspired. So Batman was amazing. And I got Spider-Man. All of those happen to be male because they are them. They are. If there's a female Zorro, and I love that show as well. I mean, I can't shit on it. I think that they did really cool differences. You could tell that 2 guns worked better than a sword for the girl. I was like, this is a cool idea. I've never seen that. They also did it for the guy as well. But like, you could do it. But Batwoman, Batgirl, she's not going to get all the hype as Batman. Batman, you've constructed as a character. You've given us so much more background, so much more story. It's developed well. When you just change a character in one movie and then you expect us not to notice that, and then your focus is going to be for the future, that's going to be the only character that gets to play that role, you're losing us. You're going to lose what you've created as a great fan base. And then when you recast somebody that is so important to the entire story from Endgame as a brand new villain with Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. now playing Doctor Doom, you got no idea left. This is terrible decision making. And then you're going to multiverse him into Spider-Man 4 or whatever you're going to do. Like, just stop. Just stop doing these things. As unfortunately Deadpool, who I'm not a big fan of right now as a person, but as a character, he's still Deadpool. But his movie pointed it out. The multiverse is getting tired. It's not working. It's just weird. It's awful. Please stop. It's not working. And Disney did not take their own notes. They were like, we made $1 billion off Deadpool and Wolverine. We're going to do another one. Doesn't matter if there's shit going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I don't know,
they
man.
made it so much because everyone feels the same way as what they were pointing out in the movie. They're crapping on everything because it's done. It's old. It's tiring.
Yeah.
And so they basically made a mockery of all of it, and that's why it did well.
It's a miracle it's still going. For Phase 6 now to start up, like, this isn't a miracle. Like, any franchise would have cut it off by now. They would have been like, all right, we made peak money. We've done it. We did it. Okay. They got really lucky with No Way Home, and No Way Home put all the hype to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was not everyone's favorite. I liked it personally because I like Sam Raimi and I like his direction and I like the cool darkness that they did with it. But by the end of the movie, I was like, what the hell's going on? And then they never answer it. So I was like, okay, well, that didn't help. And then they were like, here's the next list of people that you don't care about. And I was like, well, I have to see them. Hopefully they'll connect, I was so skeptical when Phase 1 started. I didn't know who the Avengers were. Phase 2 starts, I'm like, all Avengers, let's go. Then they bring the Guardians in, and I'm like, who the hell are these guys? And like you, I was just like, you've done it. You did it. Okay. And I thought that was it. And then they brought in Thanos by Phase 3, and you're just like, holy shit. This is Star Wars for the next generation. Like, this is how epic we felt as kids. This is great. And then they decided that based on all of that, they would just make non-stop content, TV shows, movies, and not care as much about the story, not care as much about development of a character. And then they were like, well, it's trending right now that female empowerment. So let's just, let's do what they do in the comics, but forget to develop all those characters. The only one who got it was Shuri because she was dealing with grief in real life and her character losing her brother. That's a huge, huge thing. All the other ones just thrown in. Here you go. You're Mighty Thor now, but you have cancer. She-Hulk, you're just going to slam all the guys that like your program, and you're going to slam the Hulk, who's one of the most important characters in Marvel. And then Spider-Man, we want Gwen Stacy. Sorry. Well, actually, no, we want you to be Miles Morales. We don't want Peter Parker anymore. That story's old. So here's the new story. And it's like, you can do that. You can Batman Beyond that. But you have to end Peter Parker first. And you didn't end Peter Parker before you threw Miles in. And, I mean, the cartoon is completely different. However, now they're mixing the two. They're saying that Tom Holland is going to reprise his role as Spider-Man in the next Miles Morales movie. And I'm like, are you actually going to take something that Marvel has created, perfected well, then ruin it with some kind of Sony touch, and then you're going to tell me that the story moves forward with Miles in reality? Like in real life, this is what we're getting. Our live action Spider-Man is going to be Miles Morales, no more Peter Parker. You're going to keep me with all my female Avengers, and you're going to tell me that Fantastic Four is going to save all this. I got no hope for Marvel. I got nothing. Their planning is horrible. And in my opinion, this is going to be the biggest downfall. I can't wait for James Gunn's DC to reign supreme. If this actually works out well with Superman, and then we get another Batman, and if he wants to do his own Batman instead of the one that Robert Pattinson's doing, that's fine. But I really like a Robert Pattinson version. I don't know how his tone would fit in James Gunn's universe, but I think that it's solid for what it is.
Yeah, well, he's also doing Supergirl too. Supergirl movie's coming out next year.
Supergirl. So. Okay, so he's focusing on super characters. Okay, and he's going to get Crypto the super dog.
Yeah.
The whole movie about crypto. Selling crypto.
Like watching a live action version of Pets,
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be like, what was the Underdog?
Yeah.
That's going to be a funny movie. But I honestly think if he could prove that he's good with Superman, he'll grab all the Marvel fans because he'll be like, hey, give me a shot. I did great with Guardians. I can do great with Superman. And then they'll be like, but what about Henry Cavill? We'll be like, you know what? We'll bring Henry Cavill back. He'll be Black Adam or something like that. And I'm like, I'm on board with that idea. Because I think taking your previous Superman and making him a villain, badass as hell. He could even be Bizarro Superman or whatever. Like, that would be really cool.
That would be cool, yeah.
Or older version of Clark Kent in a different timeline. Like, something like that. That would be sick. But, like, what he could do with Batman, what he could do with Green Lantern, finally get a good Green Lantern movie. That would be sick. We could get all the Justice League. We could get the Martian guy and everything. Like, everything could actually be put together with bright colors that Zack Snyder refused to use besides Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984, which is a disgrace. And Aquaman. I don't know what his plans are, James Gunn is for Aquaman, but either way, I'm ranting for a while about superheroes.
Sorry.
My opinion of movies will go on for next week for all those people that are looking forward to my whole opinion on every movie that I saw in 2024. Once again with my friend Jason and then my friend Kyle of Havoc Faction. That'll be fun. But Joe, I want to thank you for being here for another amazing chat. This was another great interview. Always ranting about superheroes, either in the beginning or the end. But I'm glad that we did some deep chat. I'm glad that we talked about your music. And I want to know what's coming next for my position.
Yeah. So once we get the music video done, I say we, me. Once I get the music video done, and that's out, I have a song that I'm working on with Sonics. That's my next main focus. So it's gonna be very similar to Icy Stars style, since both of us like Icy Stars a lot. And then I have a few others that are coming up behind it that I've been writing, that I'll be shooting out as well. And then I'm working with an old rap buddy of mine, from way back in the day. He used to be a Christian rap artist, back in the '90s, I think. They were called One Way. His name is Two Edge, and he's working on a song with me as well, doing some rap parts. So it'll be interesting to see how that all comes out. I'm finishing up that one, pushing that up probably in a couple months. But yeah.
Very, very cool. I did not expect to hear any rap music on your sound, so that's going to be epic.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about the most recent song versus your first song. Your first song ever on the EP that you created is Shade. And if you listen to Shade's beginning and you listen to Fake Monster's beginning, there's a same tonality about it. Both of them have that like techno-y kind of rock. And that's what I love about it, because you can see, even though you've gone through all kinds of different phases, heavier, lighter, you've gone back to what was always my position. And that's what I love, and I want to see what the next phase of my position is. So if it involves rap, if you become a new Linkin Park or From Ashes to New, that's awesome. I'm totally down for that. I also saw that you did this incredible like created verse for Butcher Babies. By the way, one of the hardest things to Google. Don't Google that. That band does not show up. You do get a warning every time you type that in. So fun fact for all those people that are like, I love this band. Don't type their name in on Google. You'll be on a watch list. But either way, Butcher Babies, they have a new song, and they wanted to hear everyone's verse on it. You did a great take, and I think that you said you were inspired by your friend, who also did a great take. I watched as many as I could, but seeing her do that same thing every single time where she's like, now it's your turn, I'm like, this is getting cringy. Because it's like you see the same thing over and over, you're like, there's nothing genuine about this. This is copy-pasted, and everyone's taking that. But there were some really, really cool cuts, and one of my favorites was, of course, yours, because I'm personally biased. Big fan of you and friend of yours, and I think that it should be something that they choose, at least the top three.
I hope so. I think it'd be kind of cool. I actually had somebody comment on it and said definitely one of the top five, and that was a cool comment. I personally, I'm very biased, of course. I personally think that I'm pretty up there on the top.
Yeah.
But I do know that there's quite a few people that also did pretty good takes as well. So I guess we'll see. It's all dependent upon. More than likely, it's going to be the decision probably made by their label.
Yeah.
I think it's Judge and Jury or something like that. I think is the label group, and we'll see what they choose. The cool thing is that Judge and Jury and I follow each other anyway, so maybe I don't know. We'll see.
Get that little tidbit of like, oh well, he's on our side. He's one of us.
Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I mean, it's epic. The way that you created that verse and your vocals that you chose, you had like doubles and triples on it. And I was like, hell yeah, this is totally Joe. This is his kind of sound. Like I said, man, your voice is amazing. Every time I get to hear it, I'm like, it could work with anything. And it proved that even on their tracks, their metalcore is hell. They're really heavy. I mean, they've changed their sound a lot over the years. I was told they are not perfect live. But I will see, maybe their potential has grown, and I've seen a lot of girl power in metal, and we were talking about girl power in Marvel, but girl power in metal is huge right now. Like, we got to talk about...
Yeah, we have Courtney LaPlante. She's still in Vertigo.
Courtney's kicking ass, and she played Poppy for that.
Oh, yeah. That was funny. That was
for the
good.
Grammys.
They played that out really well. That was, I said that was handled very well. Someone could have been like, I'm not Poppy, but she actually went along with it.
She's got such dude humor. It's so funny. Every time she's like, oh, yeah, that's me. I'm Poppy. Like, she's so funny. But, yeah, Poppy also huge for getting with Knocked Loose, playing Jimmy Kimmel, who I do not agree with at all. I was like, you are kidding me. Hardcore on TV? Holy shit. The world is changing. You got Casey Carlson. What's her name? Yeah, Casey Carlson, I think, with Deadlands. She's doing really big things right now. Nita Strauss, Sophie Lloyd, both of them doing their collaboration album. So Butcher Babies, this could be your time. This could be it. I mean, female empowerment for the metal community, huge thing, and a lot of good vocalists. There's Ginger is still impressive as hell, but their whole shock value has gone away because now they're expected to sound like that. So poor Tatiana, she was so important when she first started with that amazing live version of her song, and now everybody is just like, yep, that's just Ginger. Same with Courtney. Yeah, Spirit Box. Love it though. And yeah, man, I really wish you the best of luck with that. I didn't know Howard Benson was part of it, and you talked about Joey Sturgis last time you were on, and now I've been a big fan of him, and I love his production, and I made a whole big playlist and a big shout out thing. And I don't know who runs his tones, Joey Sturgis tones, but they actually respond. Oh, he runs it both? Okay, cool. Because I was like,
I mean, I'm sure he's got people under him that do all the responding and stuff.
I would hope so.
Yeah, he's got that. He's also got Drum Forge. He's a partnership with them. I don't know how much he's governing of it, but they work together on stuff. But Joey Sturgis Tones is his big deal. So
awesome. Yeah, he is amazing, and I love seeing my friend Brad Berry also promoting his stuff. He always has like this new sample plugin that he's working with, and then Joey puts it in his story, and I'm just like, it's so cool to see the community, even though I'm small, having friends with people that know the big guys like you and Shaylee and everything. Like that makes me like feel like I'm part of something that is just going to keep growing. And I love that, man.
That's the hopes and dreams for all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What is your plan for the rest of the day? This is a fun question.
I'm working on this music video. I have a day off from work, so I'm going to be plugging away.
Perfect. I'm going to let you keep doing that then, and I will have breakfast and probably take a nap because I woke up real early. I got home last night around 1:30, 1:45 in the morning. So getting up at 8, it's a toll, but it's worth it. And I really appreciate you again for being on here, man, promoting the new single. Everyone, once again, go and check out the brand new song, Fake Monster. You now know the context behind it. You know our opinions on things. You know that I love Marvel too much to not rant about it. And we're excited for Superman. That's probably going to be the next topic when I bring you on in the fall after you have another single or two. And I'm excited to see what your overall sound is going to be by that point. Excited to see that rap collab. Excited to see the Post House Tuomi. Not Sonics in this one. You said Sonics is coming back. So yeah, that's going to be huge. And anything else that you have planned, I'm totally supporting 100%, man.
Appreciate it, man. Always good being a friend and catching up with you. So
absolutely, man. Oh, and I need to get your merch. I'm gonna go on your site soon.
I used to have a whole line, and then it just didn't really sell, so I just kind of left it alone. I said maybe I need to be a little bit bigger before I try pushing that. I was very ambitious when I rolled out with that first EP.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, we're gonna do everything we can, and it's a lot of cost, and not much for gain. So
I hope that you tour too. That's like my big thing. Is like I hope that you actually have some plans to play live because I think that you kick ass. Yeah. Awesome, man. Nice. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you again for watching another amazing episode of the Media Man Dan podcast featuring the best guest ever, Joe Marks of My Position. His information is all in the description right down below. I'm going to go grab a tissue. I hope all of you guys have a great night and stay safe out there. Peace.